qualities of this short Syeda Khadija. But I'll do so also in conjunction with the lectures that we have been giving each of these nights for the blessed month of Ramadan, and that is the reflections on the dua of Abu Hamza Fadali and the beautiful lessons that we can learn from the dua of Abu Hamza Fadali in order to improve ourselves and our spirituality and our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our discussion last night on the section of that dua where Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Allah. Our discussion last night on the section of that dua where Imam Allah al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Allah. And your promise is also true, and it will come to fruition. And what is that your Imam is referring to? Is a statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاسْأَلُوا min fadlihi. Referring to is a statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in kana bikum rahimah. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from His blessings. And then another verse, a separate verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is merciful to you, merciful to His creation. So this is the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is true, and it is also the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is true. Just like when He says, Udu'uni astajib lakum, call upon me and I will respond, I will answer, which is true. But as some of the scholars, they have pointed out that when we call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes our intentions may be one of three things. One is isti'ajal, that we may think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designated for us a certain amount of rizq, sustenance. And especially this is one of the things that we do in the nights of Qadr. We pray that, what will our rizq sustenance, and what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determine for me in this year. So throughout that year, then we may make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we think that, well, we made dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has answered our dua. He has given us something that we've asked for, but that is part of our taqdeer. That is part of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already designated for us. So sometimes our intention is this, or our interaction with dua is that, well, I prayed for that which Allah was going to give me anyway, and perhaps it came a little bit earlier. Our interaction with dua is that, well, I prayed for that which. Sometimes we approach the dua with this intention of ihtimal, that we know that, well, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designated for us, we approach the dua with this intention of ihtimal, that we can actually, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designated, increase our risks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we give that possibility that, well, when I made this dua, that I've gained something beyond what was designated for me on the nights of Qadr. When I made this dua, why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving, and His rizq is designated without limit in the nights of Qadr. There's no limitation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's giving, but sometimes there's a limitation to our ability to receive. So, but through dua, we expand our capacity to receive from Allah. There's a limitation to our ability. So that is the second type of intention which we may approach to the niyat that we approach dua. The third type is imtithal, as some of the scholars pointed out. And what is that? Imtithal means that we approach it not simply to gain something or think that, oh, well, our risk is limited and we want to hasten that risk, but we do it simply out of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Limited, and we want to, because it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's told us in the Quran, obedience to Allah, as Imam Zayn says, because it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who told us to call upon Him. And this is one of the beautiful reflections that one of the youth in our community he had. So one time he asked me this question. It's like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us everything, the youth in our, and this thinking is on the right path. Whatever we have, our life, our risk, our sustenance, our family, whatever we have in this world, comes from Allah's life, our risk, most of it without our family even asking. Whatever we have, we didn't have to ask Allah to give me life, give me existence. No, Allah gave us out of His, again, His rahmah, out of His blessing. Give me life. So the question was that, no, Allah gave me out of His ever, or should we, is this the right type of thinking? Or so since we have that we should be a little bit shy and bashful to actually ask Allah the right type of anything, or since He's given us everything, we should be a little bit shy, and so why we're asking Him for more. So that's where this third intention comes in play, that we call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that intention, with that niyat of imtithal, of obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the one who's commanded us in the Quran with that intention. Was'alullaha min fadli. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from His blessings and His bounties. And fadl means that extra. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. He's the one who's commanded us in the Quran, Udu'uni astajib lakum. Call upon me and I will answer. He's the one who's commanded us in the Quran. Almost in line with that thinking, call upon me and I will as well answer. And then, but before I go into that, almost in line with that, this section of the dua of Abu Hamza Thamani as well. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin, this section of the dua of Abu Hamza Thamani, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he mentions this verse, that call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask for His bounties and His blessings, he also mentions two of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this dua, His blessing, Manan, and also mentions two of the qualities of quite interesting in this dua. We don't have time to go into this aspect of the dua, or why it's actually in this particular order. So he proceeds Manan, this aspect before Hanan, or why it's actually. But in most of the other du'as and ziyarat, so he proceeds the other way around, Hanan or Manan. Inshallah, as in most of the other du'as and ziyarat, it's actually the dua Joshan Khadija. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma inni as'aluka bismika ya Hananu ya Mannanu ya Diyanu ya Burhanu ya Sultan. Hanan and then Mannan. Many of the ziyarats and many other du'as as well. Ya Hanan ya Burhanu ya Sultan. Hanan. But here, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, and many other du'as as well. Ya Mannan ya Mannan. And then he calls upon Allah. But here, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he's a Hanun in the opposite way. Ya Mannan. That perhaps in that there's some element of wisdom, some gem. Perhaps, unfortunately, because of time, we cannot open this up at this point. Wisdom. But nonetheless, these two qualities come back to back. Manan comes in a sense of rahmah. This is a great rahmah. But nonetheless, these two qualities come all-encompassing rahmah. Manan comes in the sense of, and that manan, a great rahmah. As it is pointed to in the Quran, we mention this, that the greatest gift, the greatest rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the believers, because that manan comes from the greatest, that greatest rahmah that Allah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? To the believers from Allah. Manan comes from the believers, that He has sent His greatest, He has sent minnah of Allah. So those who have latched onto that guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have received this minnah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those who have latched onto that guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have received. Hanan, on the other hand, is the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlooks shortcomings, He overlooks His mistakes, and He calls back His servants that after they disobey Him, He overlooks subhanAllah in this particular dua, Abu Hamza Thamani calls back how Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he actually describes this in this particular dua, Abu Hamza Thamani, this aspect or this attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he says, وَلَعَائِدُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِتَحَنُّنِ رَحْمَتِهِ. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, quite often we think that, we're making istighfar, astaghfirullah, wa atubu ilay. And I turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he says, no, that Allah is turning towards you. Atubu ilay. And I turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That servant who has disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is coming to turn towards you, to call you, and to bring you back to Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is coming to turn towards you, to call you, and to bring you back to Him. That after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us everything out of His rahmah, out of His love. And then we disobey Him, and still He comes and He turns back to us out of His rahmah, out of His love, to call us back. We say, no. And then we disobey Him, still He comes. In fact, even turns back to us. One of the And this is one of the speeches of the Ummah. He's speaking from some of the riwayat. He said that one of that servant, there's indication at times that that servant who turns away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has that great love for that indication at times that that servant who turns away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a great love for that. He says that if that servant who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew the love that he had for them, knew that how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala longed for him, who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knew the amount of awe, knew that understanding that how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala longed for him. So, and this is what Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he's explaining. Allah is turning back to that servant. Subhanallah. So this is what Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he's explaining. Allah is turning back to that servant. And so with this, as one of our great ulama, actually, Shustari, that when he reflected upon this as one of our great ulama on the day of judgment, when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when he reflected upon that, what is it that will save us on that day of judgment? When we stand, so he goes through these 12, what is it that will save us actions or spiritual reflections about goes through these 12, and then he, and they're between hope and despair. He's like, well, if I look at my actions, then my actions are between hope and what exactly of my actions. If I look at my actions, are actually worthy. Then my actions are truly that. What my fast, my salat, my hajj are actually truly worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And my fast, my salat, even though I disobey, he comes back to me. He turns back to me of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't think that this is strange because even though I have this example in the Ahlul Bayt, he turns back to me. One example I will give, because time is short. This Imam Hussein on the day of one example I will give. Because time I mention this example so many times, and every time I mention it, it's almost unfathomable to think of. I mention this example because how many of us would do that? Every time your whole family is slaughtered, your whole family is slaughtered, they're taking everything from you. But Imam Hussein, he's still willing to give forgiveness and rahmah to these individuals. That you know that my dua is answered. He says, leave me now, don't kill me, because if you kill me, then your faith is still my dua. He says, don't kill me. He says, I won't even return back to the Muslim world. I'll go somewhere else. Your faith is and you know that my dua is answered. I'll make dua that Allah return back to the Muslim world. I'll go somewhere else. And you know that my dua is answered, I'll make dua that Allah. Imam Hussein is reflecting that rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That although we as human beings will stoop to the lowest of low, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's still there to give us a chance. That although, as he was just saying, he says that if I have to depend on my actions, he says, he's still there to give us a chance. What is there? So he says, then I remember that if I have to depend on my actions, I'm despairing. Then that gives me hope. He says, then I remember. He says, but then I fall into this despair again. He says, because I know that if I say and I'm making this claim that I'm from the ummah of, but then I fall into this. I follow the Ahlul Bayt. There's conditions to say, and I have to walk that I'm from the ummah of. You talk the talk. I have to walk in your footsteps. He says, then I fall back into this despair. He says, but then I remember simply talk the talk. Imam Hussein. He says, then I fall back that he's Safinatun Najah. He says, but then I remember, and then that hope returns back to me. He says, but then I think that really, and then how much it turns back to me. Am I Husseini? He says, but then I say, Labbaika ya Hussein, but how much is my actions Labbaika ya Hussein? Is it just simply my tongue? Is it just simply my hand when I make matam? He says, I go back into this state of fear and despair because my connection to Imam Hussein may not be that stable. I go back into this. He says, and then, and this is the sixth point, he says, then I return to this state of hope. Why? Because he says, and this is his sixth point, he says, and that ziyarah, and I realize, why? Because I've made ziyarah. Well, I make ziyarah. So then he says, then he falls into despair again. Why? He says, and I realize, again, we know that, well, I make that ziyarah. So then he says, we feel good from that ziyarah. He says, because again, we know that, God forbid, we fall back into our misdeeds, our disobedience. So good for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we know that what happens to good deeds, we fall back into when the sayyi'at come, it nullifies those good deeds. Because we know that what happens to good deeds, then I remember, this is the eighth step, then I remember the eighth reflection. I remember that, well, the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, the value of it is worth the hajj and the umrah of the anbiya. He says, so therefore I find some hope. The value of it is worth the hajj and the umrah of, then I fall back into despair again. He says, because, you know what? Because we also have to observe the rights of people. This is one of the things that Imam Hussein has taught us. Because not to be zalim, the rights of people. This is one not to oppress the rights of others. He has taught us. Not then on the 10th reflection, he says, then I press the right to gain hope again. Why? Because I've shed tears for Imam Hussein. And on the 10th reflection, he says, and the worth and the value of those tears for Imam Hussein because it's unfathomable for Imam Hussein. He says, and then I fall back into despair. The 11th reflection, he says, that he says, then I fall back into despair. The 11th reflection, he says, because for Imam Hussein, but I don't have that connection to the prayer, the salat, like Imam Hussein. That's in the middle of the battlefield, that as arrows and spears are raining down, that they never stop the salat. In the middle of the battlefield. So if I'm crying, but spears are raining down, are not like that. They never stop the salat. He says on the 12th reflection, he says, my prayers are not like that. And this is the final reflection. He says, but then I remember on the 12th reflection, he says, out of all of it, and this is the final love Imam Hussein. And I remember, I love Rasulullah. Out of all person that Rasulullah had loved Imam Hussein. I love the Ahlul Bayt. I love Rasulullah. He says, and then Rasulullah, that's my conclusion, that I love the love of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. He says, and then he says, and that's my conclusion, that with the love of Muhammad, that throughout everything, inshallah, I will be guided. And this is perhaps one of those things that fadl, that ni'mah, and that blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Khadija Kubra, as we read in the Ziyarat of Khadija Kubra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to that Khadija Kubra, Assalamu alayki ya man sallama alayha Jibra'il. So that peace be upon the one that Jibra'il has given salam to. He gave salam to Jibra'il. وَبَلَّغَهَا. And then he did what? بلغها السلام من الله الجليل وبلغها لك بما أولاك بلغها السلام من الله. He says, and then Jibra'il has given Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala salam to Khadija. He says, and Jibra'il, blessings be upon you, Ya Khadija, for that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you from His fadl, from His blessings, from His blessings. And what is that from? The blessings of that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Kubra, in the ziyarat we read that she is Ummul Batul. She is the mother of the blessings of Ummul Hasan wal Hussein. In the ziyarat we read that she is Ummul Batul. She is the mother of Fatima. This is Syeda Khadija, sallallahu alayha. Subhanallah. Syeda Khadija, sallallahu alayha, who we also read Syeda Khadija, ziyara alayha. She's given everything for the ziyara. She is given everything for the sake of to the point it is stated that, again, to the point that we bear witness that Khadija annaki, again, ashhadu annaki habibat, we bear witness that you are the beloved Khadija annaki wa khirat Allah, the one who is selected and chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa anna Allah ja'alaki fi mustaqarri rahmatihi, has placed you in wa anna Allah in His rahmah, fi mustaqarri His complete rahmah, has placed you bi qasrin min al-yaqut, in a castle of jewels, of rubies. She gave everything, as stated to the point, jewels of rubies. And imagine this. She gave everything, as stated to the point, the most wealthiest person, even imagine someone else, the most wealthiest Hijaz. The most wealthiest. But when she died, they said that she didn't even have money for a kafan. Hijaz. But when she died, this is why one of her wasiyas was that she was a little bit shy, and she asked Fatima to Zahra to ask her father that Abba that he received the wahi in, to give to shroud me, to make this Fatima to Zahra to ask her father that Abba that he received the wahi in, to give to shroud me, to make this year my kafan. But he said that as Rasulullah, after he gave the ghusl and he was going to put the kafan on Khadija the Kubra, he said that as Rasulullah, after he gave the ghusl and he was going to put the kafan on Khadija with 5 cloths, and when Jibra'il he came down, he told Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, he says, and when Jibra'il he came down, he told Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, إن الله يقرئك السلام ويقول لك إن أمتك الخديجة إن الله يقرئك السلام ويقول لك إن الله يقرئك السلام. So يا رسول الله قل لفاطمة, tell Fatima. So the message was from Jibreel to Fatima. Tell Fatima that إن الله يقرئك السلام. The message was from Jibreel. Allah is giving you salam, ya Fatima. Tell Fatima and let Fatima know that her mother is impaired. That her mother is granted a high state. Her mother is impaired. And also, Ya Rasulullah, that her mother is Fatima, know, because Fatima, she took that wasiyah from her mother. And also, Ya Rasulullah, to Rasulullah, to bury her in his Abba. He says, let her mother Fatima know that I have 5 cloths in paradise. One cloth is to be the kafan of your mother. So Khadija Kubra, she had 2 kafans. One was the Abba of Rasulullah, and then this cloth from heaven. She had 2 kafans. One was the Abba of Rasulullah. Says the next cloth would be for Rasulullah. That this kafan would be the kafan of Rasulullah. The next cloth would be for the third Rasulullah kafan. That this kafan would be the kafan of Rasulullah. Third kafan would be the kafan for the third kafan, leaving 2 more kafans. Third kafan, he said that the Fatima Zahra, she kept these kafans with her until her own wafat. Leaving 2 and just as she received those kafans when she was a young girl, she was about 5 years old. And now when she was about to pass away, and she was kafan is my kafan, 5 years old. Then the other 2 kafans she gave to Zainab Kubra. She was about to pass away, and she says, this kafan is my kafan. This was the amanat from Jibreel kafan she gave to Zainab Kubra. And she told, according to some of the maktab, she told Zainab Kubra, she says, I have these are the 2 kafans. She told, one kafan will be for your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. These are the 2 kafans. And the other kafan, one kafan will be for your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. According to some of the maktas, that when Zainab Kubra, she received these kafans from her mother, Fatima Zahra, that one for her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and one for her brother, Al-Hassan. She says, Ya Ummah, وَأَيْنَ الْكَفَنِ أَخِيَ الْحُسَيْنِ. Then what about the kafan for my brother Hussein? That Fatima Zahra, that she would look at Zainab Kubra and say, يَوْمَكَ يَوْمَ أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. That there's no day like the day of Aba Abdullah. That his ghusl would be with the blood, and what will be his kafan? Only the clothes that he will have upon his back. That his ghusl that will be pierced full of spears and arrows. The clothes that he will have upon his back. The clothes that will be pierced full of spears and arrows. اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا واشف مرضانا وارحم امواتنا وعجل فرج موتانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من عوانه وانصاره واشف مرضانا والمستشهدين بين يديه وتحت لواء بحق صاحب العصر والزمان من عوانه وانصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه وتحت لواء بحق محمد واله الطاهرين.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله أشهد أن محمد رسول